Welcome back to the Backcountry PA podcast, guys. I'm Cody, and this is episode 132 with Natalie Zetts. We found out actually while recording this episode right off the bat that Natalie is an adult onset hunter, which we did not know. We like to kind of dive into things kind of blind, apparently. We tried before to get like bios, all that kind of junk, but we were like, you know what, let's hear about how they got into hunting before they even tell us anything. Talking to Natalie, we found out adult onset hunter. She's been hunting for the last 4 years. Now, her dad did hunt before this, but didn't get her into it. She pretty much dove in, learned off YouTube, Instagram, people like podcasts, all that kind of stuff. Had some people at work help her get in the right direction, point in the right direction. But Ethan and I kind of learned from Natalie not to put as much pressure on ourselves because she's not putting a lot of pressure on herself being a new hunter. Like, she's gotten a deer down in the past 4 years. Every year she's gotten a doe. So that is success in her eyes. And I consider that success too. If you get any deer down when you're out hunting, that is success. So if you're listening to this, hopefully you can look at this and be like, wow, all right, maybe I need to take a step back. I need to refocus on what hunting actually means and just enjoy it. Just enjoy the freaking process. Like we always say, only measure the memories. Don't shame other people's game. Like if someone wants to shoot a one-sided three-pointed flump, someone wants to shoot a 50-inch buck, like let them shoot a 50-inch buck. Don't even go behind their back and talk about it. Congratulate them and move the fuck on in your life. Enough with my spiel. Make sure you go follow Natalie on Instagram. Go follow her YouTube page. Just tell her congratulations for all the doe she's gotten down. Help new adult onset hunters, help new hunters stay in this by congratulating them and hearing their stories and just sharing the love of the game with them. Remember to always keep hunting, keep fishing, keep your tradition, and always enjoy the freaking process. Obviously, I'm Cody.
I'm Ethan.
Hey, good job this time.
I know. I've been apparently I'm awkward with my introductions. I can't say just my name normal.
Yeah.
So
Did you practice in the mirror?
Maybe.
All right. So welcome to the Backcountry PA podcast. Do you want to go ahead, introduce yourself to the listeners, who you are, how you got into hunting, and where you're from?
Yeah, so my name's Natalie. I'm from Central Pennsylvania. I was born and raised. I'm from Clearfield County. I now live in Center County. So I've been in Pennsylvania my whole life. I didn't grow up hunting, ironically. I got into it about 4 years ago. So most people get into other things when they go to college. But I bought a bow and started archery hunting. So it's been a very interesting 4 years. I've learned a lot, and it probably took the hardest way possible to get into hunting. Like I think you guys said in one of your episodes, you know, if you want to get into hunting, don't go full blown into it and try to like go out and shoot a deer. Well, that's kind of exactly what I did. And it works now. Like, you know, a couple years later, but it's definitely not the easiest way to get into it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, so did any of your family hunt? Did any like cousins, uncles, anything like that ever hunt?
My dad did when he was younger. He was a big archery hunter. Not so much anymore, but I wouldn't say anybody's as passionate as I am about it in my family, which if you ask me why I got into it, I couldn't even tell you. I just decided one day that I wanted to buy a bow, and the rest is history.
Wow. Yeah, that's very interesting because most people starting out, they would go to a crossbow or to rifle or shotgun for just small game or turkey, like to go in and dive into just bow hunting. Like,
go all
it
out.
takes a lot of fucking work to do.
I guess I didn't realize like how hard it was. Like looking back now, I'm like, I'm freaking crazy. Like, why would I think that this is the best way to get into? Like, not even squirrel. Like, I didn't own a shotgun until like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I literally just had a bow and like a pistol. Like, I was like, let's just go out and shoot a deer. Like, sat on the ground with like, I don't even know what kind of clothes I was wearing. Like, I think I wore them around campus. And I was like, oh, let's go hunting. Like, just sat on the ground with my compound bow like I was going to shoot something. didn't shoot anything. I wonder why.
Yeah. So when you first went out there, that first time you went out in the woods, what were your nerves like? Like, were you just excited to get out there? Were you like, did you go out at dark? First of all, did you walk in at dark or did you go light? Like,
yeah.
Walk us through that first hunt.
I'm trying to remember like the very first time. I don't really like. I still have onyx pins of like the very first couple hunts that I went on, but I
Yeah.
can't like pinpoint one specific time. And I can remember this was back in 2019. I worked at this area at a lake basically, and I got some pointers of like where to go. My boss was really helpful with telling me where I should go. I think I did go out at dark. I think it was like just getting light, so.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't do that now. I go out when it's dark, and then hopefully the sun's coming up when I'm sitting there. But I remember just sitting over this hill the one time, like next to this tree, and just like imagine this big buck walking out. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like this buck's gonna come here. I'm gonna shoot it. Like it's gonna be great. Like
Yep.
me and my compound bow. And I had no clue what I was doing. I think I was more scared. Like, what if I actually shoot something? What do I do with this? Like I didn't know what to do with a deer. I'm like I think that was more of like not even the shooting it part. Like I felt fairly confident I would probably hit something, but like what was I gonna do with this meat? Like how was I gonna skin this thing? How was I gonna gut this thing? Like am I gonna YouTube this in the woods? Like, I had no idea. I'm like, never even tried venison. I'm like, well, I hope I like it. Like,
Wow, that is holy
yeah.
crap.
I have never known a single person to dive this hardcore into hunting the way you just described the
Yeah.
way you got into it. This is kind of awesome. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, like this is well, shocker.
Shock.
I'm
Exactly.
just kidding. Just kidding. No, but like that is like extremely interesting because like we know like Patrick, who's part of the podcast, like he hunted before, but he got into it because he was part of us and he had other people to show him kind of the ropes, kind of. So
Yeah.
you didn't really have anyone showing you the ropes. You just kind of learned by trial and error.
Yeah, like it's amazing now that I think about it. I'm not gonna say like no one's ever helped me. Like I've met people along the way. Like I said, I've met people that I work with, coworkers, friends, things like that. But no one was like holding my hand through this whole process. Like it's kind of in YouTube. Like YouTubed a lot of stuff, figured out a lot from YouTube. But yeah, I just kind of figured it out. Like I don't know how else to explain it. Like it sounds crazy now that I'm actually like telling somebody this story.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I had a lot of nerve looking back because, you know, even this past season, I'm like, oh, I haven't shot a buck yet. Like, I feel terrible about myself. And I'm like, I do archery deer, and it's been 4 years. So,
yeah,
like, that's an accomplishment to me.
Absolutely.
And I shot my first deer with a rifle, and then the following year I got an archery doe, and then this past year another archery doe. So, I mean, every year I've had a deer. So, except that very first year.
That is very impressive. Like I know the whole thing is, you know, a buck. That's what a trophy is. But like,
yeah,
right here, that was my first deer. That was my dad put the tail. He tanned it. He put a picture up there. Like, I don't want to say that you shouldn't like. Don't beat yourself up. First of all, for not getting a buck. Like I do it too. I think everyone does it who's a hunter. But like the thing is you are new in hunter. This is hunting. This is your 4th year, right?
Yeah. Well, this was my 4th season last year. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And to have 4 deer under your belt, I mean, that's impressive to go in and have no knowledge of it right off the bat, to learn pretty much off YouTube and from people who you talk to once in a while, like, and do everything yourself. Like that's freaking impressive. Like I would hold your head high, like all that kind of stuff, because I mean, I'm sure you are, but obviously when you get that first buck,
it's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah. I mean, this guy right here.
Yeah. I mean, you're already doing better than me. 4 years. It took me 10 years just to get my first deer. And it's still currently my only buck at the moment. I've shot a handful of doe the last couple years during archery season, and then one this past year with Thorn rifle. But yeah, it took me 10 years to just get a deer in general. So you're doing all right. So don't worry about that.
So
yeah, I mean,
I scrolled through your Instagram, obviously, and like, I was watching some of the stories on your hunting tab.
Okay.
And I came to the one where it was like, had my buck at full draw twice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw that, and since you say you haven't gotten a buck yet, what are your standards for a buck? Do you feel like you're holding the standards too high, or like what's your standards at right now?
Oh, absolutely not. I will shoot anything that's legal. I love that you guys don't change the game. Like, it's still venison. It's still meat in the freezer. Everybody says that. It's so cliche. But I will just be so ecstatic to actually shoot a buck someday. Hopefully this year. Please this year. But if not, I'll be happy to get another doe. Like, I really beat myself up last of this past season because I was like, I did have an opportunity, two really good opportunities with bucks, and I didn't want to take a bad shot. And I knew if I took a shot, it wasn't going to be, a very good shot. So I didn't. And then I have nightmares like all the time about that same situation. If I could have just been like 2 seconds quicker, like I could have got it. But, wasn't meant to be, I guess.
Yeah, I think you have to go through those trials right there to when you get that first buck down, it's going to feel that much better because you're going to think about those moments that you were full draw on a buck or you had an opportunity at a buck and you're going to be like, this is all for this moment right here. Like I think that's the because I think back on it too. Like I had a buck this year. Like I could have easily shot him. I saw one up in the big woods that I tried grunting in, wasn't able to get him in. And I think back to even last year when I had that really big buck.
Yeah.
Right by me. And it was my first year arch hunting. Like I didn't draw quick enough. I wasn't drawn. So, I mean, when I get a buck, because I feel like I'm going to get a buck this year. I'm pretty positive about it. I just like to put that positivity in the air, and then
I like that.
hopefully it'll happen.
Yeah.
But it's going to feel so much better once you get that one down. Like it, especially your first buck. I mean, if it's a half rack 3,
send it.
Yeah, I'll probably be in tears over anything. I'm like, oh. I think my very first year I actually did shoot a buck, so I forgot this story. I was with a family friend and I shot him, but I think it was a little low, and we actually tracked the blood for a couple hundred yards and never found him. So that was also pretty cool, but very, very disappointing as well. But I've definitely had a lot of opportunities, especially this last season. I saw 5 different bucks opening day at archery.
Holy shit!
5. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, this is great, and then every night after that was not the same. So
yeah. What's your process for are you scouting a bunch? Are you going out there scouting? What's your setup like? Because I saw that you have a climber. So is that what you use primarily, or are you trying to get more into hang on saddles, ground and pound, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I have a ladder stand set up. I don't really use that at all. So the climber is primarily my main way to go. So if I know I'm going to stay in a spot for a couple of days, I'll leave it out there. But I absolutely hate dragging that thing into the woods. And I've had it for 3 years now. The first year I didn't do anything. 3 years I've been using the climber, and I really do want to get into saddle hunting this year, but I have no idea. That's completely new to me, but it looks awesome. Just the mobility and the weight that's obviously going to be taken off of dragging all that crap into the woods. So that is one of my goals for this year, to hopefully get into that, because, I'm sure if you guys have used a climber before, looking for that tree when it's dark and you can't tell, get up in the tree. I've had so many times where I've gotten up and like, oh, there's a giant pine tree to my left and there's a giant pine tree to my right, and I have no shooting lanes. This is pointless, and I'll just get down and go eat breakfast now because I'm not going to have any shots here. So yeah,
I do want to put this out there because I think people who are just getting into saddle hunting or hang-ons or whatever, especially saddle hunting, because it's my first year ever saddle hunting, you still need a perfect tree. I think the saddle companies put that, oh, you can get in any tree. I've been in skinny trees that are perfectly straight, but pine trees are very hard because you gotta, especially with climbing sticks, you gotta have those limbs perfectly apart to be able to climb that tree. I still think you need a perfect tree for saddles. because
I was like, how does it even work? Like, I don't understand. Like, I see these guys like holding these like 4 sticks, and I'm like, how do you get 30 feet up? I mean, I don't get 30 feet up. I'm terrified of heights.
Yeah, I think the highest I was this year was maybe 14.
Yeah.
But it's once you start doing it, like practicing the off season, if you get sticks and all that kind of stuff, just practice like that. That's the best way to do it. It's hanging the sticks is very nerve wracking because I went into it. I used a climber the year before. Like before that, it was purely just ladder stands. Like I wasn't mobile at all. Like I was the least mobile person ever because I didn't even like to walk around and hunt. Like I just like to sit in my one spot and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
yeah,
it takes a lot of time to get used to it, especially with the sticks, but having the lineman's rope is very nice because I never used that before. Like I didn't really use harnesses. I didn't really use anything. Like I sound like an old head right now because like all the old heads say,
I don't need that.
I don't need that. But like it's the lineman's rope is a lifesaver, really.
Yeah, quite literally. Well, heck, this is my first year actually hunting out of a tree, and I use a hang on. It's I don't know. I got used to going out earlier, finding the tree that I wanted to set up in during the day. So then, if I would go out, at dark o'clock, I know where that tree was already, so I know how to get up into it. Or if I was up earlier, I'd set up a few days before or whatever it is. It didn't matter anyway. I didn't shoot anything until rifle season anyway. But that's one of that because I don't know, like it looks comfy. I just don't know if I can ever get into a saddle. I don't think the way I hunt. I don't know. I'm digging the hang-ons. That's just me personally. I don't know if I could do a saddle. He loves getting up in the saddle. You always take it with you at least.
Because like Natalie said, it's like most of the hang-ons I have, my hawk hang-on's like 13 pounds, and then I have the sticks. I mean, that's another 5 pounds, so it's up there to 18 pounds. Plus, if I take a bag in, like
that's light work compared to light work, man. 17-pound hang on. Carried that on my back all year.
It gets pretty heavy, but like
it does.
Yeah. Well, I think the summit's like I had the steel one. It's like 28 or 30. I think people argue with that, but I'm pretty sure it's like 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's not it's not compact. It's like dragging on the ground. Like I put a backpack on this. I think I tied my backpack to like the bar on the back, so like that was hanging out too. And I'm like, this is a mess. Like,
yeah,
because like I gotta bring everything else that I need out here. So it's like 30-40 pound adventure after you get everything in your backpack. So I think that's probably the main appeal, just like the weight and just the mobility. I mean, I don't know. I might try it, I might hate it. So
yeah.
We'll see what happens. There's lighter climbers that you can get to. So.
There are, but then you get up to the $400 range for a climber that's 10 pounds, and it's like, holy shit!
Like, do I really want to drop this kind of?
Yeah,
Like I'm balling on a budget here. Like I need, I'm a working man. I'm
on a budget.
I don't need a $400, $500, $600 piece of equipment. When I can get. I mean, mine. Yeah, it's 17. My hang on, it's 17 pounds, but I got it at Walmart for $70. So $80, I think it was. Yeah, it's heavier, but like I can't complain for $80. And it worked. I used it all season. I had no complaints. I got it within the 2 weeks. Because once the season ends, you have 2 weeks to get rid of it, to get it out of the state lands. Yeah, I think I waited a week after the season was done.
And I just got mine done
eventually got out.
Yep.
But I didn't want to walk back there again.
Yeah. So we have a debate topic. We recently started doing debate topics.
Yes.
Okay.
So this one here, do you think that leases have made hunting better or worse for the average hunter?
I don't really know. I did see that you guys looked at that question. I don't really have an opinion, I guess I should say. Everything that I hunt is public land. So, I mean, I guess the more opportunities you can present yourself with, the better. Obviously, if people have private land, they already have a leg up on every bit of public land. But, I don't know if it's something I would ever do because there's so much public land here in Pennsylvania that you can hunt, and I like my spots, and nobody archery hunts there, so I don't really feel the need to go and pay, somebody else hunt their land.
Yep.
So
yep.
That's my opinion. People do what they want.
Yeah. So the reason I had this question come up in my mind, I think about questions all day.
No, I bet.
So I've sent out letters to property owners to see if I can have access to their property, all that kind of stuff that are close to home here that I don't necessarily have to go to public because it's heavily pressured come rifle season, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I sent a letter to this one person who is actually on the Hunter Access Program on the Game Commission website. I got a text from them saying, thank you for the letter, but we recently just reached a long-term agreement with a leasing company. Mm-hmm. So that's why I can't have access to that property. So the reason I feel that it's making hunting worse for the average guys or gals, it's the door knocking, the letters going out, it's becoming more pointless if there's these leasing companies coming in and offering them money to let their land, be hunted on. When before it was like, because I sent out a letter, I'm like, hey, I'm local to you. I give my address, my phone number, all that kind of stuff. And I offer, if you allow me to hunt your property, I'll give you venison and I can do chores around your house. If we
go in and do dishes.
Yeah. I'll do dishes. I love dishes.
Come do dishes. And
I
then
love doing dishes.
You can hunt on my property.
But so that's where this whole question stemmed from, because I feel like more and more leasing companies are popping up. And then you have, there's Capital City Bow Hunter or something, like the Capital City Leasing Company or whatever, like in Pennsylvania here, and their leases are like $4,000 for like 20 acres, and it's like,
ew,
what?
Yeah.
No thanks.
No thanks. It's like a 10-acre woodlot too, and the other 10 acres like grass fields. Oh. So it's not like anything you can really scout. It's like you go hunt one spot. That's it.
Better be guaranteed like a 180-inch buck or something. Like if we're paying that kind of money for that kind of spot.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lease last year, and it was $5 an acre. It was 80 acres, and it was $400. I was like, that's a steal.
Yep,
steal compared to like people who I know. I work with a guy who has a property in York, who he's leasing it with, I think, 12 other guys, and he's paying $2,000.
And that's lease. Split?
That's
already split?
Yeah, that's already split. So he himself is paying $2,000.
No way.
Nope. No, couldn't do it. See, because like you post.
It takes the fun out of it at that point. Like I don't. I mean, I guess I never really thought about this too much. I don't lease myself, and I just hunt public. But like, I don't know. Maybe I'm old school that I still want to, go out in the woods and scout and see the land for myself, see new land and new terrain. Like you said, like if that's 10 acres or something, like how hard is that? You can walk that in 20 minutes. But I mean, you got to enjoy the process too. Like, is it even hunting at that point?
So it goes back to what you said earlier about how like our conversation about how you're going to enjoy it so much more when you actually get it down, like, and how you felt bad after the season because you didn't get a buck down. Think about, you're throwing $2,000, $4,000 on this property, and you're not guaranteed to get something. You're not even guaranteed to get a doe.
True.
So like you're throwing this money down, and there's no guarantee. I mean, people are going to say, well, that's hunting. I'm like, yeah, it's hunting, but think of how much money we already had to throw into it. We got to buy saddles, we got to buy tree stands, we got to buy ammo, bows, arrows, like camo. Like you don't need camo, but like, I mean, that's a lot to just throw. Like I could buy a new bow with that money. I could buy a new gun because I'm not buying the most expensive gun. I'm not buying the most expensive bow.
The used rack.
Yep. Used rack.
Always go to the used rack every time.
Yep. But I think it has made hunting worse, in my opinion.
I don't know. Never thought about it till today, till like right now. Because I mean, I'm like you, Natalie, like public land. That's just that's all I hunt. Like I've never had a desire.
Let me preference this. I only hunt public land.
Yeah.
Out letters.
You have to have a secret lease that he pays $4,000 for.
Yeah.
Not telling us about.
Yeah. I only hunt
Cody, how do you know these prices, huh? Do you actually know?
Yeah. We're actually in on it together. We're just not telling you.
Yeah.
I follow pages.
Yeah, I wonder why.
You never know when something's going to pop up that's reasonably priced.
Yeah.
If I pay $200 to $400 for a lease, I'm going to take it because I know the benefits of it, especially come rifle season.
Yeah, Cody hunts lease lands. Okay. So
I'm starting to see that.
See, thank you. Sorry, Cody. You've been outnumbered on this one.
Okay, continue.
Anyway, no. Yeah, I hunt exclusively public land. So like, and I've never had. I mean, yeah, I've had the thought like, oh, it'd be so nice to go hunt this person's property, some homeowner or some farmer or something. Like, yeah, that'd be great. But like, I've never pulled the trigger and actually sent letters, knocked on doors, because it's like, well, I could just go to state game land number whatever.
Which one? Say the number.
I don't even know the numbers. I just know. Honestly, I don't know. Number. Yeah, she got notes and ready. She's ready. She's like, I'm gonna hunt where these guys hunt.
I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna on it.
She goes, oh, I see all their pictures of trail camera deer and everything. She goes, I'm getting my first buck off of them.
I got it all mapped out. Like
she got OnX pulled up. She's ready. But no, I don't know if I can have an opinion on it because I don't. Not that I don't care.
You can have an opinion.
I can have an opinion. I don't know.
Think of the facts I just laid out for you.
The facts you just laid out. I don't like it.
Okay.
I'll put it that way. Just because I won't do it. Even if like that property.
Mm-hmm. Which one?
Oh, see now. Okay, so
the Juniata one?
Yeah. So okay, so that property comes up in Juniata, right? For $400 a year, right? That's less than taxes and a handful of places that you'd pay on your own private property.
In Juniata, that's probably tax for the property.
That might just be taxes.
That's literally tax for the property,
right? You have 80 acres that buttered right up to
1,200.
To the state game lands. I would do that.
Okay.
Because then eventually, say like if it stays around that price, maybe you could buy that land off of that person one day. Maybe I don't know.
That was my plan actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. You talked about that. You were kind of bummed when he sold it for as much as he did. It's like, which reality it wasn't expensive.
No,
but it just didn't fall at a good time because you just purchased your house at around that time, so it didn't work out so well.
My wife would not approve of that.
No,
at all.
But I'd be okay with that, just because then like it's not expensive on that situation, right? Then you can take people, like say Natalie, you wanted to get into hunting, 4 years ago, and you wanted, like, say we were friends 4 years ago, and you're like, I really want to get an archery hunting. Cool. I could just take you there.
Yep.
Be like, hey, I've had this property for a couple of years. I know the trails, the deers, like we can go scout it together. You can pick out your spot, do your thing. And I feel like I would use it to that extent of even like if a kid wants to get into it or with Patrick getting into it this year, we could have taken him up there, that kind of thing. But like $2,000, $4,000, that
per person,
that would be a hard no.
Yeah, and I've received some messages about that. Some people saying worse, but they have to explain, or better and they have to explain. So like one of our friends, Justin, messaged me and was like, I want to explain this. So I think leases have become more expensive and outrageous for the normal working guy that can barely afford to even go out hunting anymore. But I think it's beneficial for the ones who have kids that want to take them out, don't want to have to deal with pressure or the risk of something happen to them or their child in the woods. And I completely agree with that. I mean, hopefully one day when my daughter gets old enough that I can go out in the woods with her and be able to take her hunting and hunt out of a blind in a field. If it's, I think that right there would be better. But I also think I don't.
You're torn on there's.
I am, because now it's like, okay, I want to say these leasing companies are bad for hunting, but if you lease from just a regular homeowner or property owner, I think that's okay. Like, hey, if you reach out to a property owner and be like, can I hunt your property? And here's how much I'll pay to hunt your property for this year. You sign an agreement with them, and that's it. But when you get leasing companies involved, that's when the price skyrockets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the homeowners, if anything, they're just trying to cover the property taxes for the year, and they're okay with that. But then obviously as a company, they want to cover those costs plus make a profit.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
that's where the big difference falls in.
Yeah. So better and worse.
Just depends on. Darn it! You can't have just a cut and dry answer.
You can't have
it's never cut and dry with me.
No. Oh my gosh, no.
I don't think
it's never cut and dry. I mean, there's a lot of debates going on right now, especially after ATA.
Yeah.
So many. But, it's just people need to have more conversations about it and, come to not like agreement, but like you need to understand everyone's viewpoint.
Yeah.
Of it is what I'm trying to get at here. So that was a good one. I mean, we kind of all had different ideas of it, I guess, and maybe I opened your eyes up to what I'm talking about.
Pro lease over here.
Okay. Anyway, so Natalie, how did your 2022-2023 season go this year?
I would say it was probably the best season. Not necessarily that it went how I wanted it to, but overall the experience was great. This is the first season that it's been, just me pretty much out there those past years. And I got an archery day October 20th, I think it was. Okay. Ended up not finding her till the morning. And I was obviously ecstatic to even find her. And then about the 2-mile drag out of the woods because I had to go back to my spot.
Yep.
But that was fun. Past like some people, I don't know what they were doing, small game hunting or something. I don't know. They had orange on, but I'm sure they didn't appreciate me making all that noise at like 7:30 in the morning. How was I supposed to? I didn't think that I could just like put it up in the field. Like I should have just like done it there, but I was like, I'll drag it home back to my truck and then drag it up to my friend's place and we'll skin it there. But I think my coworkers joke that I work 10 days in November, and that's probably an overestimate of the amount of days that I work in November. Usually they're very understanding that I can go on my vacation in October and November. And I remember I texted them that morning and I was like, hey guys, I'm going to be late. I got to drag this deer out of the woods, and like none of these ladies hunt. And they're like, this is the most Pennsylvania text I've ever seen in my life. Like, probably. I mean, all very supporting, but it's just funny to say like, oh my gosh, did you find it? Like, what do you do now? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna go get it and I need it. Like, I mean, to somebody that like doesn't hunt, they're like, well, what do you do with it then? I'll just leave it there. Like what?
Did you ever get the I got the question from my my grandma, my wife's grandma, so I guess my grandma-in-law, I guess.
That's a thing.
Hey, rolls off the tongue there.
Grandma-in-law.
So she asked me, she's like, so do you see a deer every time you go in the woods, or do you get one every time you go in the woods? Like, when do you stop? I'm like, well, I didn't know how to. I was like, I didn't want to be rude, but like, I was first of all, I was drained because I was just in the woods all day, and I was like, no, I didn't see anything. And I mean, the chances are very low every time you go in the woods. Like, you don't have high chance every time you go in the woods to see something. And I was just like, you ever get just tired of like explaining to people?
Like, I gotta explain this again. Like, this is how hunting works. Like, yeah. I mean, they're not just like herds of deer oh, let me just pick out the best one. Okay, now stop.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get a good draw on you. I don't know. I don't know what people envision. Like, it's usually like me scrolling on my phone eating beef jerky by 9:30. Like, I'm not seeing something. But I mean, there'll a couple of days that I don't even see something, and then I'll get frustrated and like move like to a different spot, and then like the camera that was over there, oh, I just saw a deer walk by, and I should have been sitting there, or like it just gets frustrating. And I think I was off for like 10 days in a row, and by like day 5, I was like half delusional because I'd been in the woods for so long, and I had a couple different bucks that I said I had on camera, and then I saw 2 of them full draw. I had twice on that one. And then you're just like, well, where are they coming from? Like, should I move stop? Should I stay here? Like, I've seen them here. I know they're here. Like, the food's here. And it's just like you drive yourself crazy thinking like every possible scenario of what you could be doing, but you're only, one person.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, there's only one spot that you can be in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why they call it hunting.
Not getting.
It's just a generic thing to say, but you try and put as much effort in as possible, trying to put as much scouting in, find the food. I think that's the hardest thing that I personally have been trying to learn is finding the food. Mm-hmm. What was the hardest part for you getting into it? Was it finding the food? Was it finding, Ethan,
finding the deer?
Ethan, like
for me still.
Before this year, like I didn't know what a fucking scrape was. I had no idea. Yeah. Like I like Ethan, I know you didn't know what a scrape was because you showed me pictures.
I'm like, dude, what's this?
That's a turkey scratching.
Like, well, no, never mind. I didn't find a deer.
Yeah. So like, what was the hardest part for you as a new hunter? Getting like, walk us.
I didn't know what scrapes were. Like, I didn't even know what deer ate. I was like Googling like what does deer eat? Like, what am I supposed to be looking for? Just like figuring out, how they act and like, I don't have to sit out at 12 o'clock in the middle of October because I'm probably not going to see crap.
Right.
I just like sit there and sit there and sit there for hours, like class, and then like, I haven't seen a deer in 4 hours. What am I doing? So I'm sitting here. Like, maybe I should go scout or do something. I mean, it's hard to remember, 2019 now. But I mean, I went in spots where people told me to go that, like, were their good spots or whatever. I mean, it's freaking deer. But I guess I just went in the woods, and I figured if I go in the woods, I'll see a deer, which obviously isn't the case. But I figured if I went like far enough in the woods too, like maybe I would find something. Like, oh, let's not see a deer. Let's go another mile here. The deeper you go into the woods. I don't know what my logic was, but that was like my logic.
Yeah.
Which is so funny for me now to feel like, I mean, some of my best spots. I mean, I've shot 2 of my deer within 100 yards of each other. Shot maybe a couple 100 yards, maybe half a mile into the woods. So, I mean, you just gotta look for the sign, which, like you said, I mean, I didn't know what scrapes were until like text my friends pictures of like stuff that I thought was scrapes. I'm like, is this a rub? Is this a scrape? And I'm like, yeah, that's a scrape. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it could be a big footprint for all I know. Like, why is this tree scratched up weird?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very daunting thing to go hunting for the very first time. I mean, you've grown a lot. It sounds like from when you first started to now. Like so I mean, when you said you found the food source, what were you looking at?
I mean, I just go where the acorns are.
Acorns?
Okay. Yeah. That's there's not really any fields that I can hunt with it. Not ones where I hunt now. I've hunted basically the same area since I started hunting, and I always go where the acorns are because that's where I've seen does, and if you see does, eventually you're gonna see a buck at some point.
Yep.
So that's kind of my logic. Go where the does are, go where the food is. what really throws me for a loop, especially this year or last year, I guess. It got so warm that like whatever week in October it was, maybe it was November, I don't even know, but it was like 70 degrees.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm like, where are they at? Like they got to eat at some point.
Yep.
They weren't there, and that's when I just like so frustrated. I'm like, people were like, "Oh, go near the water, go near the fields," and like, I don't know where all the deer were because they were not there.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I mean, it seems like it's been that way the last couple years. It's always been like warm in either October or November or October into November. It's been warm. And like you gotta, I mean, we talked to Steve Shirk and he even like with the drought, it was kind of like he was kind of behind with the whole game because he was hunting up high, but really he found out they were down low by these creek systems when really they weren't there before in early October or early November. And it's like, you gotta, but that also you gotta have like the time. You gotta have the time to be able to scout these deer out and figure it out because deer are, I think they're getting a lot smarter because we think we're getting smarter and getting ahead of them, and it's not that way.
They're learning.
Oh no.
Yeah,
they have to be learning at some point because they're they get all this. I mean, we talked about even Zach. We had Zach, the predator hunter, on, and he was talking. With coyotes, they get call shy. Especially on public land. If people always go out, they have a call. These coyotes, they get used to it. They know, like, oh, that's not an actual animal. That's something that could get me killed. I don't want to go out there. I think that translates to deer.
I think that all animals.
Oh yeah, all animals, but especially to deer. Like with all these we got all these scents and these cover scents and these just stuff.
Yeah.
And I think over time, if there's a certain group of deer that are always in this, certain areas, they kind of not say get used to it, but they notice that's those different smells, and they're like, last time I smelled this smell, something bad happened. I'm going to avoid it. And I think they adapt. I just wish deer would adapt better to like the highway and not run out in the middle of the highway. There's going to work. There's a deer standing on the side, running right on the side, just grazing. And I'm like, go away. Go away. You're 10 feet away from the highway. And I know for a fact it's going to come right on the highway at some point. And then I'll go back the next night and it'll be dead because they're stupid.
Ethan, the highway patrol guy.
I am the highway patrol because I'm
I've
like,
never hit a deer. I can say that.
Hey, better knock on wood right now.
Yes. Knock on wood. I had a deer hit me. I didn't hit a deer. It hit me.
Old Dodge. What they say? Yep. Is that you said for insurance purposes?
No, it was
that deer ran into me.
It ran into me. No, it was I had my learner's permit. So it was 16, 17, whatever it was, right? We had a minivan. We were up in the cabin. We were coming home from the cabin.
And you were driving a minivan?
I was driving the minivan. Don't hate on the minivans.
Okay.
And we were going down this hill, and this buck comes up over this hump, and I see it. My dad's in the passenger seat, and the whole time he's going, whoa, 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 whoa. He's not doing anything. He's just sitting there, whoa, 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 whoa. And I just slammed on the brakes. And the deer, he just, instead of like going, or he just smacks in the side of the van and then rolls around the back and then keeps running. And I was like, that deer hit me.
You know what's funny? I have the same exact story.
Are you serious?
I shit you not.
Do tell.
Maybe it's a minivan.
It was in a minivan as well.
No way.
Yeah.
Shut up.
No.
Tell
me. I was at my grandparents. They lived in Juniata County. We were going to church. And on the way to church, we passed through these fields. A doe comes right out of the field, runs in front of the van. A buck comes out and like runs right into, like doesn't actually run into it, but like he hits it. But my grandma in the front seat, she's sitting here. She looks at the doe. She looks to her right. There's a buck coming right at her. And you can hear like him like with the rocks like sliding.
Stop.
And like he like just goes into the side of it. And then he like goes out and around it too.
Are you serious?
I shit you not. And he was fine.
He was fine. Yeah,
He was fine.
As far as I'm concerned, that buck was fine because, like, obviously we stopped, got out, looked. There wasn't a dent, a scratch, no fur, nothing on the side of the van.
So we didn't get out.
So he didn't. Oh, we did.
We were late to church.
We were. Yeah. So I was like, So I've never hit a deer. I've had a deer hit me.
This is the question now. What color was your minivan?
Was that dark blue?
Shut the fuck up.
Like, what are they?
Shut the
What are they?
You're kidding me.
Not a Windstar. What's that called? Ford?
Dodge Caravan? Is it?
Nah, it wasn't a Dodge Caravan.
Oh,
it wasn't a Dodge.
God.
No, it wasn't a Dodge. Might have been
That's the only minivan I know.
Was it the Ford Windstar? I have no idea. I'd have to look it up. It's like your generic.
But it was blue.
It was blue.
Ours was also dark blue.
It was fantastic. It had 3 rows of seating.
Well, that's usually what minivans have.
I know.
But it was so.
Get everyone back there.
Even a deer.
Do you have any stories of deer running into you or
anything
happening in minivans where deer hit you?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it happened. I've never hit a deer. Well, I did bump into my mom's car in like high school, but I think I would cry if I ever hit a deer in my truck because I don't. That's my baby. Like, don't touch my baby.
Yeah.
I mean, that deer would be catching some hands outside. No, I'm very thankful that I moved in Pennsylvania my entire life. I've never hit a deer. And I kind of hope I did hit it. I hope it was a buck during the freaking deer season.
Oh, yeah.
I just,
Yeah, I found a few deadheads, and one was actually hit right in front of me by a Jeep Wrangler on the way home from FedEx, and I brought that home.
I remember that.
Yep, that was a late night.
Yeah, because you showed up. He calls me, "Hey, you home?" Like, I was like getting ready to go to work and everything. I had maybe an hour, and I was going to work. And he's like, "You home right now?" I was like, "Yes." Why? Yeah, I'm coming over with a deer. It wasn't hunting season, right?
No, it was because the next day I was going to go up to Juniata.
Okay, it was early in this hunting season then. And I was like, what? You worked? What do you like? What's going on? I don't understand. He's like,
it's also 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's like 11 o'clock at night. I don't understand. Like, what's going on? He pulls up and he's got this dead buck in the back of his truck. And I was like, you gotta have to explain. And he grabs the one antler and it moved. The skull was,
Yep.
It was a quick death, thankfully. I would hope to think it was.
Well, I had my pistol on my hip just in case.
Just in case. It was the deer didn't suffer at least. But he's like, I'm like, did you hit this thing? I'm looking at his truck thinking like he's got a big dent or something. He's like, no, it was someone else. He goes, they just let me have it.
Yep.
I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yep.
Now it's hanging.
Yep. Right over there. It's the top one.
It's the top one over there. Yeah. It's a nice buck too. That's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a nice buck.
Yeah. Someone had that on their camera.
Oh, for sure.
And they're like, where'd Lucky go?
He's on my wall.
Yep. So back to your season. We got very sidetracked.
Yeah, a little sidetracked with our minivan story.
Yeah. So you got a doe down this year in archery.
Yep.
And did you say you got one down in rifle too?
I did not, no. Rifle sucked.
Okay.
So that's every rifle. This is probably the most I went out for rifle.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, my second year hunting, I went out opening day, 8 a.m., 5 yards from me, this doe walks out. I was like, surely she'll see us sitting there. Nope. She was dead. And then I was like, the whole deer's in the scope. And I take a shot and I'm like, I look over to my boyfriend at the time and I'm like, did I kill her? And he's like, yeah, you did. Like, the whole deer was in the scope. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, are you sure? And like, he's like lying, like dead, like 20 yards from me. I'm like, yeah, I think you killed her. And I'm like, just shaking. And I'm like, how did you not see us sitting here? Like, it was crazy. But not a huge fan of rifle. I feel like so many people come from out of state, especially where I'm from.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I couldn't get into my spot, like, because I went up there and some guy I have a picture of it. He had a lawn chair on a platform against a tree.
Ooh. And
he just like took the nearest tree, snapped it off, and used a bungee cord to tie it to the ladder. And that was right. I've never seen anything like this in my life. But yeah, so that's rifle season when I hunt. So I tend to try to get my deer and archery if possible because I don't feel. I mean, I feel like in rifle too, like I get stuck in the field, just get up and start walking. Like I mean, I don't get the climber at all because I just walk all day pretty much. And you run into people that mad that you're walking around. It doesn't do anything, just standing here all day. And I've heard stories from the old timers how they used to do like the Civil War, opening day of
Oh yeah. Natalie, let me tell you, when I was in Juniata,
let me tell you,
it was nothing to hear 150 gunshots in one day. All around me. All around. It'd be nothing to see 80 deer just running through the woods. Now they may be the size of my German Shepherd. I don't even have a German Shepherd.
It'd be like Remy running around.
Yes, it'd be like a little Remy running around through the woods, but there'd be a herd of 80 of them. Like my dad would tell me the story, and it'd be like we had permission on this one farm, and like they'd always come through this little funnel. Like the old timers, they'd always know where they would run. Where they always have name for knobs. They'd always have name for like points to sit at, like their spots, all down the holler. And then, like my dad was like, there was like 40 doe that come through, and there was a 5 buck right in the middle of them. Like the buck just knew where to run so they wouldn't get shot. Like that's always a story that I would hear. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, how big were the buck?
Yeah, I want to know. Or how big were the doe? Were
right,
they little?
Like that's
Because I think the first time, because I was like when we got into hunting up northern PA, that just doesn't. We don't have those
numbers.
Those numbers, at least in our area. And I think the first time I was sitting out, one of the first times sitting out for rifle, and I was sitting by myself, and I had about 10, 12 doe run down behind. It was behind the cabin, down the side of the mountain on the other side of the power line.
Yep.
They ran out, and then they ran down. They eventually ran over the road, and then I think a buck ended up coming through, but couldn't get a shot off of him. I don't even know if he was legal because he didn't get close enough for me to like see. I could see 2 on each side for sure, but I couldn't tell if he had a third on each side at that point. But I remember later telling my dad, I was like, Dad, I saw a herd of deer. And it was like 10 or 12 deer. And he goes, nah. No, you didn't. You didn't see a herd. I was like, Dad, there was like 10 or 12 doe just running together. He goes, I don't believe you. Because we don't see those. We didn't. It's been years since we've seen even those kind of numbers around. If you see like 3 or 4 together, that's impressive.
Oh yeah.
But I remember saying, he's like, no, you didn't. I don't believe you one bit. I was like, what are you talking about? It's right there.
So, see, yeah. That's one good thing you had growing up. Like you didn't have to hear those stories of like the herds and all that kind of stuff when you're growing up. Because like,
I've heard him. I've heard him recently.
Yeah.
Previous landlord, he tells us stories all the time. I love it. It's hilarious. I don't know, how much is believable, but I mean, it's fun to hear.
Yeah, I mean, people talk about the fishing stories. It's always like, oh, the fish was this big,
and then it gets bigger.
I feel that's progressively what hunting is turning into. Like people.
Everybody exaggerates it. Exaggerates it. I don't care who. I exaggerate my own stories sometimes. I would admit that. Like everybody's gonna, 8 point, big 10 points, by the time you tell, Joe Schmo down the road, the story stands 20 times.
Yeah.
The biggest buck you ever seen in your life,
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, it's I guarantee these people who we don't measure deer. Like I could care less about what the size of deer is, but like it seems that's what everyone cares about. So I guess we'll talk about it.
Why not?
Yeah. Like Ethan measured his and it was like 47.
41 and 5/8 inches.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's my buck.
I gave you too much.
You did.
A
couple inches off there.
But like I feel like someone will say, "Oh, it was a 120-inch deer the first time," and then next time it'll be like 140.
How do you judge? Like
I still have no idea.
Maybe I get it if you like you're that type of person that like you shoot these deer consistently, like you're like, oh, you get 120s, 130s like every year, and like you shoot like you go to multiple states maybe, and you get the opportunity to shoot all these bigger bucks, so you can judge them, be like, oh, that's a 130-inch buck just from looking at it. Me, I look at it and I'm like, that is an 8-point. And that's about it. Like that's all. Like I can never judge a deer just from looking at it.
I usually say like, oh, he's out past his ears, or like he was inside his ears. Like,
yeah,
like that's. Do you think that you'll ever get to that point, or do you want to get to that point? Put it that way.
Like, I don't know. I mean, the day I stopped shaking over a doe was the day I probably stopped hunting. So
yeah,
like that's not what it is for me either. Like I love the experience. I want the meat in the freezer over everything. Honestly, like I said, obviously I want a pair of antlers to hang on my wall someday, but it'll happen when it happens. And like you said, if it's legal, like, and I have a good shot, like, it's gonna take a dirt nap. That's how I feel.
Yep, exactly. And I feel like if you when you start putting your pressure, like, oh, I want to get, my goal is to get a 120-inch buck, or my goal is to get 130, 110. Let's say 110 because PA, 110 is a good size buck in PA here. Like anything above 110 is, to me, I would consider good. Anything that's legal, I'd shoot right now.
Yeah, same.
But when you start putting limits to yourself, you don't have as much fun out there.
Like, how are you letting these nice bucks just walk past you? People are like, oh, I passed on, some shooters, and I was like, I didn't see a buck. Like, like how are you passing on deer?
I feel a dig.
I don't know.
There was a dig.
There was a dig in there.
There was a dig in there because you passed on your buck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bro, dude, we are just like destroying you today. Like it's.
Sorry. I deserve it for passing one up. I deserve it.
He's gonna go home. He's gonna go 10 feet away and then go cry himself to sleep tonight. He's like, they made fun of me.
My wife is gonna console me, and she's pregnant.
Yeah.
She can't win.
You can't. You really can't.
It's okay, honey. It's all right.
You get a deer.
You'll get one next year.
Yeah. And then when you don't, can't get.
Gosh.
When you
No, she said she's never going to do that again.
Yeah, again.
Yes.
She
said.
Yeah.
She was like, for some reason, it was brought up like my dad. I think got two deer. I think he got. I think that's. No, he got 2 doe. I think last year, but I didn't. 2 years ago, something like that. I think it was 2. Was it during the podcast?
It had to have been. We've been doing.
Was the first year?
I think it was the first year.
Yeah. So the first year we did the podcast, like I didn't get anything, and I don't think I saw anything either. And she was like, she kept bringing up that I didn't get one, and I was like, and I eventually, I think, like I just told her this year, I was like, it really hurt my feelings. You kept bringing up that I didn't get a deer. Yeah. Like it put a lot of pressure on me. And she's like, oh, I'm not, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that again. I'm like, thank you. Yeah.
So I already beat myself up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing to feel like crap about myself. Thanks.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I do that too. I get like, sure if it like gets to the middle of October, I'm like, oh, I don't have a doe.
Yeah.
I gotta get meat in the freezer. Like every year, I feel like I've been hunting my entire life. The past 4 years.
Yeah.
That's how I get every time, and I feel like relieved. But then, 2021, I think I shot my deer. Second week of archery, I just happened to go out after work. It's like 5:30. I probably shouldn't even went at that point because it's like getting dark. I think it was getting dark, and I like just got off my climber, literally looked to my right, and there's 3 does. They're freaking both still laying on the ground. And I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, okay. So I'm like, got a think in my head, got my brain finder, I'm like, always hooking my bow up, and I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, if I'm here, I'm ranging them. I'm like, okay, it's 20 yards, it's 30 yards, I'm picking the biggest one out of the path. I'm going to shoot her. And then finally get set up. I'm like shaking my hands. I'm like holding this hand, trying to keep this hand safe to range. I think it's 30. I'm not sure. Okay. I didn't realize how hard shooting shoot. I'm like, that sounded like, a hitter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, what do I do? So I get down, I look for blood. There's nothing. Can't find my arrow. I'm like, well, I'm questioning if I even shot her. I'm like, I did shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, it's dark now. It's pointless. Came back out a couple hours later. Ended up finding her near the creek. That was like maybe 50, 70 yards from there. But I was so afraid that I wasn't gonna find her. I'm like, I didn't shoot her. I'm like, obviously I had to shoot her, but I ended up shooting her through the heart, but from the back leg, poured right through her. I'm like, that shot had to be on point, even in the right area. At least I was kind of in the right area, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So she was quartering away from you when you shot her.
Yeah.
Hard quartering away too.
Hard
quartering away. Yeah.
Hardcore quartering away.
Yeah. But, hey, sounds like you put a good shot on her if you went right to the heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just took the long way to get there. That's okay.
Yep.
That's fine.
Nothing wrong with that.
Because my doe, she was quartering 2. Yeah, that sucked. It was rifle season. That kind of sucked. I lost the whole front leg on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, her whole front left leg was unusable at that point when it came to meat. I felt bad because I was like, oh, I only got 3 out of 4 legs that I can eat, which sucks. You want to have all the meat you can get, as a hunter.
A big chunk of meat to live.
Exactly. And she wasn't a small doe. Nope. So I was like, all right, we're good. I got meat in the freezer. I'm happy. This is awesome. But it still hurt to me, it felt like I'm wasting it. But it's like, it was second day of rifle season. I wasn't going back out hunting at all until we went to Illinois, a week or 2 later.
Yep.
So I was like, I need something. And she's the one, there's 4 doe, and she was the one that gave me the shot. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to take it. So I did. I knew she was quartering to me, but I was confident enough in my shot that I knew I would make an ethical, clean kill. That she wasn't. I mean, she only ran 20 yards and dropped, so I was happy with that. Your fancy beer.
Yep. So, what's your goals for 2023? Because I saw you post that on Instagram too, or no, on YouTube. On YouTube.
Yeah.
So
I do have a lot of goals. So many listeners, subscribers can enjoy all the content that I make. But I have the goal of shooting an archery buck. Obviously, that's always in the back of my mind. So I'm just gonna keep carrying that with me every season. But I'm not gonna be too devastated. I'm not gonna beat myself up. I, at least want to shoot something in archery again. And I'm not gonna say this is a solid goal, but I'm trying to go out now. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I don't have any expectations. Never hunted out of state before. I've always wanted to be Wyoming, Montana, Colorado kind of area. So me and one of my best friends might try to adventure out there, maybe get some kind of tags, and that's a whole different ball game. And to try to do that year 5 of hunting, I have 0 expectations of anything. So it might just turn into a fun camping trip, but that's definitely one of my goals that I would love to really see the country out there. But I think focusing here in Pennsylvania, definitely doing more scouting this summer if I can, shooting my bow more. I shot it so much. You can never shoot enough, I feel, and just getting more comfortable because I feel like I'm good when I practice, and then you get there and you got a deer in front of you, and it's can't pull it back because I'm shaking so bad. Or, freezing, and you're I'm just struggling, and the deer sees me, and half drawn in a weird position. It was I can't move, so they're gonna see me. This happened I think the first day I went out for archery last year. I was in a spot like right above in this like saddle. And I was like, there's no way these deer are gonna come like straight up this rocky part. I was like, so I'm gonna sit here. And them deer came straight up that rocky point, scared the crap out of me. And I was like, and they looked at me and I looked at them and I was like, I froze. I didn't know what to do. I grabbed my bow real quick and there was so much movement. And I'm like, what was I doing? Like, just stop, don't move, let them walk past, and then take a shot. Yeah. Not like grab all my stuff in 5 seconds and like try to do everything. There's just so much to go into it. I gotta grab my rangefinder, gotta grab my bow. And I feel like, like you guys said, like crossbows are a lot easier. I don't think I would ever use one myself, but especially with the compound, it's like,
oh yeah,
there's so many things that like go through your head. Did I use the right pin? Like, did I range her right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy.
No.
A journey trying to get that whatever deer fever.
Yeah.
If I could say buck fever because I had a couple bucks.
Yeah.
But like I said, the day I stopped feeling that feeling of like shaking and just like you can like hear your heart beating and it's like beating so fast. You're looking to fall the trees. I said that too. I'm like, what if I just like fall out of this tree stand? Like nobody's gonna find me. I'm out here alone in the middle of the woods. Like I joke with my friends. I'm like, I don't feel too well. I'm like, I'm just gonna tell you where I'm at in case I don't come out. Just come looking for me. Like, my best friend has my location. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, if I don't come out, and text you in a couple hours. Like maybe you should come looking for me.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely something that I think everyone should do is share with your friend or significant other or whatever, like share your location with them. Doesn't matter how deep you are in the woods. That's definitely one thing that I want to do next year is actually share my location with either you or with my wife or with someone else, like just to let everyone know where I'm at. So in case like, cause you never know, like I could be in the saddle and the tether could snap and then I just, there's nothing else to hold me up.
Yeah.
You're
dropping 15 feet
out
of a tree.
Yep.
That wouldn't feel good.
Straight back. Not being able to catch myself.
Just be like a cat. Land on your feet every time.
Yeah. But I mean, that's definitely something that I think everyone should start doing. Is like just
they'll never find me out there, but at least I told them.
Right.
So that, when they come to my funeral, they can say that I, well, at least I'll die happy doing the club.
Right. Exactly.
That's what I tell them.
She died doing what
she loves that.
Exactly.
But I think the thing is no one wants to. I think why people don't do this is no one wants to share the location.
No,
everyone's so secretive of it. I share my locations with Ethan
all the time.
I share my locations with another group chat I have with like 3 other guys. Like I share, and we all live in the same area. Yeah. Like I share my location with them, and it's like, I'd share my trail cam pictures. I mean, there's a lot of public land. Back to the leasing, there's a lot of public land, so I mean, there's a lot of places you can hunt. So like if you share location, there's no honey holes anymore. There's no honey holes at all. So like just share your location and enjoy it. Just enjoy the whole thing because honey holes are a myth and everyone knows you can go to one spot and be like, oh, no one has ever been here.
Then you find
I thought that multiple times. I went to a spot and I was like, oh, no one has ever been here. Then I leave the spot and I come the next day and there's another guy there. I'm like, okay, so clearly someone else knows a spot. Like you're not going to find a spot that is just purely has never been touched by a human being unless you're up north by one of our cabins and you go up there
10 miles
in.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a few spots. Now, I've always thought about that though. Like, is there a deer in Pennsylvania? Like, I know we talked about it like in Maine, like the deer density is so low. Like there's probably deer that have never seen a human being ever. Is there a deer in Pennsylvania that's never seen a human?
Yeah.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
I've seen them. They haven't seen me. I've seen them.
Is that how that
works? Camouflage. I had Sitka on, so they never saw me.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a dig.
That's a dig. Listen, sir.
So, Natalie, what would be your biggest advice since you're 4 years in this now, what's your biggest advice to a hunter who's just getting into it?
Probably find a friend that knows what they're doing, and you don't sound like an idiot for the first couple years. It was just, like I said, it was so, I mean, it's still overwhelming. Like, I feel like the game's making changes the world every single year, and every summer I'm like reading that stupid book of like all the different things, and I'm like, I can't even keep track of this. And I've been doing this for long enough that I feel like I should know basic things.
Yeah.
And even starting out, I'm like, what do I buy? What kind of bow should I buy? Like, what are broadheads? And like, there's just so many little things that like you sit there and start thinking about it all. It's so overwhelming. And I just bought like a crappy starter bear bow, and it was, I don't know, the kids bow, but it was like one of those that grow into the bow or whatever.
Yep.
And I mean, it lasted me a couple years until it broke, and then I bought a Hoyt, which I spent a lot of money on hunting stuff.
Well, Hoyt,
let's just be clear on that. You don't have to have like the most expensive stuff. Like, you don't have to be decked out in your Sitka and, you know, have the most expensive bow, most expensive broadhead. Like I said, it's about having fun, and you don't expect to shoot a freaking buck your first year or your first 5 years, because it's probably not a very realistic goal to have. I mean, it's a goal you can look forward to, but and I think starting out small, like, you know, doing squirrel or doing birds or doing something like that first would have, you know, kept me more, not that I wasn't, I mean, I was very motivated to like get a deer.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like some people might be, you know, turned away from it. Oh, I'm not seeing any deer. Like, what am I doing wrong? I feel like just going out and shooting some squirrels sometimes relieves some of that, you know.
Oh yeah.
Anxiety of just not getting where you want to be. But yeah, I wish I had more mentors, you know, 4 years ago. So if you know somebody that wants to hunt, like, invite them along. Doesn't have to be to your super secret archery deer hunting spot. Take them squirrel hunting. Do something. Like, take them to, you know, a sportsman show. Something.
Yep. Yeah, I think I completely agree. Getting new hunters into it that actually enjoy it just for hunting in general, and not going based off what they see on social media and be like, oh, I got to get this size buck, or got to get this right off the bat to be a successful hunter. I think there's more involved than that. A lot more involved. Like, you gotta actually enjoy it, thoroughly enjoy it.
Right.
Before
that gets me down. Like, I follow all these pages, these bucks, and they're like, where the heck's my buck? We'll just have to like get off Facebook, because, you know, you're only seeing like the best of the best on there. Nobody's gonna post like, oh, I shot this squirrel today, you know. Like, like, you're only seeing social media. I try to be, you know, as transparent as I can be on social media, but like, it's just not a very realistic goal to set for yourself. And then obviously I hunt public land. Some people have private land, and, you know, they have their food plots, and they have, you know, the good spots, and it's like, oh, they go out taking opening day at archery, and the shooter picking really nice 8-point. Like, why can't that be me? Like, I've been, you know, hiking for 5 miles today, I haven't seen a freaking deer. But, and then, yeah, I mean, I feel like we need more women in this too. I mean, this sounds stupid, but like, I forget that I'm a woman sometimes. I'm out in the woods, and then you'll go across and this sounds stupid, and then you'll like come across some like old timer, you know, walking around and get like funny looks, and I'm like, why are you looking at me funny? And I'm like, oh, I forgot I'm a woman. Like, I feel like sometimes people just give you like a weird look. And like, they're like, I mean, people are usually very supportive, but like, I'll just get into like conversations at freaking Walmart buying my hunting license. Like, oh, you archery hunt? I'm like, yeah, I do. So do you. Like, why? Like, oh, I'm a woman. I forgot. Like, so if you could find some other women that hunt, that'd be awesome, because I have yet to meet someone that's as into it as I claim to be, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that there needs to be more diversity, period, in hunting. More women, more other races, you know, all that kind of, like, there needs to be. Like, I mean, it's primarily a white man's sport, or sport, you can say. Like, I don't really consider hunting a sport. It's a hobby that people need to enjoy and stop making it a sport, because NFL, baseball, and hockey are sports. Like, I don't go out there and throw a ball around with a fucking deer. I go out there to shoot a deer, bring it home for venison. Go long, but it'll shoot you at 55 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, all in all, Natalie, that is great advice. If we find more women, we'll send them your way.
We have to. Honestly, I'm really thinking about this now. Like, the only women that I know that are hunting, whatever, are basically the ones that we've had on the podcast, which is really like you, Taylor, Michelle. That's it. That I know personally, at least.
Yep. At least I know some exist.
They exist.
They exist.
They exist. Women exist.
It's not the ones in the outdoor show.
I would hope I'm married.
It's not the ones in the outdoor show that are trying to sell things either. Yes. Those are not the hunters that we need.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe we can find some this year, so we can just like ask them questions and like.
Hey, we'll do it.
Let's do it. Let's find some of them.
That's the only thing the podcast is going to be. The women of the hunting world.
Yes, I'm sure.
No, it's the. Let me think about this. WOC, women of. No, wait. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out.
You let me know.
I'll figure it out. Yeah. I'll figure it out. But Natalie, where can people follow along with you? All that kind of good stuff, and keep you up with your story.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I tried to start my YouTube channel, so if y'all want to join my 70 subscribers, YouTube, my Instagram, same thing. So that's post all my cool hunting stuff and other outdoor adventures. So that's where you can find me.
All right. Well, thank you, Natalie, for coming on here. It has been a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully we can see you still succeed this year, 2023.
Yeah.
I hope that's a dream.
All right.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. See ya.
See ya.